10 units equals 1 milligram. You've seen that written somewhere, right? There's a decent chance you're using it right now. And it's true for that vial, mixed that way. Now change how much water you put in that vial and the number's wrong. And it will still look completely right sitting on your syringe. So let me show you what a unit actually is and the 4 other things that have to go right. The water, the angle, the spot, how often you move it, and that last one is why some of you did everything correctly, felt it working, and then watched it stop. I'm Dr. Jones, DC, and I coach thousands of patients through peptide protocols, and I work with our medical team. They write the prescriptions, and I run the coaching department. And I run these cycles on myself too as well. I still play volleyball, and both of my knees would be completely smashed after tournaments. BPC 157, TB 500 are a big reason that I'm still on the court. 3 different people asked me this exact question in the comments last month. Different compounds, different stacks. And I think this really helps to understand the confusion out there. So one guy had 2 peptides in the same vial, but underneath it was one question: how much water and how many units do I draw? Now, one of them asked it on a video where I'd already walked through mixing. So clearly I didn't finish the job. Now, here's why this matters. When somebody tells me that their peptides didn't do anything, the compound isn't the first thing that I'm thinking went wrong. Something between powder and their bloodstream may have gone wrong, and they had no way of knowing. Nothing hurts, nothing looks wrong. The vial empties on schedule. You just don't know what you paid for, and you decide the peptides were junk. Every failure point in this process is silent. That's the whole problem. So here's the chain. You mix it, you draw it, you put it in, it lands somewhere, and you either move that spot around or you don't. 5 places this breaks. So let's take them in order. Now, quick note first. Some of you never mix anything. It shows up in liquid with the dose printed on the label, and somebody else did this math for you. Now, stay with me anyways. You change suppliers, you change vial strength, you run something that they don't carry, and you're doing this yourself whether you planned on it or not. So before you can get the dose wrong, you have to make the dose. So you've got powder in a vial, and powder isn't something that you can inject. So you add water, and the second that water goes in, you've decided how strong every shot from that vial is going to be. Not the manufacturer, you. Standing at the counter with a syringe of water, making the biggest dosing decision of the whole cycle. Now, most people treat that step like a chore, the thing you do before the real thing, but it isn't. It's what every number on your syringe is going to mean. So let me show you what I mean. You got the same 5 milligrams of powder in both of these. So the left one, you got a little bit of water. The right one, you got twice as much, and this is bacteriostatic water. Now, watch the syringe. Same dose out of both vials, but on the left, it's this much, and on the right, it's this much. Twice as far up the tube. Nothing about the peptide changed. The only thing that changed was how much water I added. And it moved every number that you'll read for the next month. Now, one thing, before we keep going with this, and then we'll get back to it, if you've ever opened a vial from a research site and wondered whether what's on the label is what's actually in the glass, that's the whole problem that we take off of the table. Your peptides are prescribed from our doctors through our partner 503A pharmacies. You get access to a medical team. You can reach them when a question comes up. If you want to take a look at that, just text the number on the screen or click that link in the description to book a free discovery call. That's it. That's all it takes to figure out if this makes sense for you. Now, quick one before we keep going. You're already doing the work of learning this stuff. So if you want the deep version, I break down a real patient case every couple weeks, how I read it, what we tried, and why. That's called the War Room, just for a couple bucks a month. There's also a higher tier with access to my weekly live coaching calls. If you want any of that or learn more, just head over to the YouTube membership section. Okay, so back to the vial. So you can make this easy on yourself, or you can make it hard. Now, most people, they make it hard, but it's on accident, right? Nobody wants to make it hard on purpose because they poured in whatever the calculator said and then never realized they were choosing. Now, what I tell people who I coach, pick your water so your dose lands somewhere where you can actually see. 5 to 10 units. At 5 units, you look at the vial and you know. At 1.5 units, you're squinting at a tiny little line between 2 lines, and 6 in the morning. You are going to be wrong sometimes. A quick quiz before we go further. Same vial, same powder, you put in half as much water. Does your dose change? It doesn't. The dose is whatever you decided it is. What changes is how far up the syringe it lands. And if that clicked, the rest of this video is going to be easy sauce, okay? And if not, go back, watch that last section again. Okay, now, on that 5 to 10 unit rule, there's a real argument on the other side. Plenty of experienced guys and gals keep their water low on purpose because a smaller shot is more comfortable. I still come down the other way. You feel the volume for 2 seconds. You live with the dose for a week or maybe longer. The mixing itself, it's quick. Bacteriostatic water, remember, not sterile water for injection. The bacteriostatic kind has a preservative in it, so the vial survives being used more than once. You wipe the top of both vials, then you aim the water at the side of the glass and you let it run down, not straight onto the powder. And don't shake it. Swirl it, roll it, walk away and let it sit. Shaking can foam it up. And foam means that you've been rough with something very delicate. And when it's ready, it's completely clear. Cloudy liquid or bits of floating in it, that vial is telling you something. And the answer isn't to inject it and hope. Once there's water in it, it lives in the fridge. Never put it in the freezer. And if you've been mixing vials for a year and it never once occurred to you that the bacteriostatic water amount was deciding what a unit is worth, you need to hit that subscribe button because we put out a new peptide video every single week. And I want to make sure you guys really understand this concept. Okay, so you've got the liquid. Now, you have to get a specific amount back out. And this is where it quietly falls apart. So here's the problem in a single sentence. A unit is not a dose. Units measure how much liquid. Milligrams and micrograms measure how much peptide. Two different things. And the only bridge between them is how you mixed it, which is the decision that you just made. So when someone says, I take 12 units, that sentence contains no information that's clinically relevant. 12 units of what? Out of which vial? It's like telling me you ate 1 plate of food. What was on the plate? A guy posted that he'd been drawing 50 units. His syringe topped out at 30. He'd been pulling to that last marking and calling it 50 for 2 weeks because 50 was the number he'd been handed. Now somebody in the replies caught it. A stranger. Okay, second guy scenario. Grabbed syringes at a pharmacy without checking which kind they were. Insulin syringes don't all use the same scale. The common insulin syringes are 100 units. That's 1 ml. Which equals 1 cc of fluid. There's another type of syringe that's 40 units to an ml. And side by side, they'd look very close and very similar. He drew his usual number of marks on the wrong scale and he put in 2.5 times the dose. He titled his own post, check your syringes, don't be stupid. So let me walk you through the math and then I'll give you the check. So remember, 1 cc is 1 milliliter, same amount, 2 names. You'll see it written both ways. So a full insulin syringe is 100 units, 1 ml, 1 cc, all the same thing. Lock that in and every conversation you ever do gets easier because it's the only fixed number in this process. Vial strength change, water amounts change, doses change. That one never does. Okay, easy one first. Round numbers made up just so that you can watch the logic. You got a 10 milligram vial, 2 mLs of backwater. First question, how strong did I just make this? 10 milligrams spread through 2 mLs of water. So 5 milligrams in every 1 ml. That's your concentration. And it's the number the vial doesn't tell you because you're the one who created it. Okay, second question. How many units is 1 ml? 100. So the same thing said another way. 5 milligrams in every 100 units. Okay, third question. How much do I want? Say 1 milligram. That's a fifth of 5. So I need a fifth of those 100 units. Do some math here, that's 20 units. Walk it again. The path is the thing to remember, not the answer. How strong did I make it? How many units is that? What fraction do I want? Every time in that order. Now, a real one, because real numbers are uglier. This is what somebody actually sent me. Running a Wolverine stack BPC 157 and TB 500 in separate vials. Wanting to know what to draw for the BPC. 5 milligram vial, 2 mLs of water. The target dose he was looking for was 250 micrograms. And that's the vial on the right, by the way. The exact one we drew a minute ago. Micrograms is where people fall off, right? So let's handle that one first. 1,000 micrograms is 1 milligram. So 250 micrograms is 1/4 of a milligram, or written out 0.25 milligrams. Now, everything's in the same language. Same 3 steps. How strong did he make it? 5 milligrams through 2 mLs of water. 2.5 milligrams in every milliliter of water. How many units is a milliliter? 100. So he's got 2.5 milligrams in every 100 units. So how much does he want? He wants 0.25 milligrams. 0.25 compared to 2.5 is 1/10. So he needs 1/10 of 100 units. 10 units. And now the check, which is the part I care about. He's drawing 10 units out of 200 units of liquid. So this vial holds him 20 shots. Does that sound right for a 5 milligram vial at 1/4 milligram a shot? 20 doses. Yes, it agrees. Now, if a calculator had handed him 100 units instead, he'd catch it in 2 seconds. 100 units is half the vial. He'd be done in 2 shots. The math doesn't just give you your number. It tells you when the numbers that you were handed is impossible as well. Okay, so second quiz for you. So do that one on your own vial right now, in your head. Take your dose, take how many units are in the whole vial, and ask the only question that matters. How many shots should this thing give me? And if the answer isn't close to what you've actually been getting out of it, something upstream is wrong. And if you're thinking that you've got a calculator and it's been fine, fair, I use tools as well, but a calculator hands you a number with total confidence whether or not you've typed the vial in right. This is how you find out whether the calculator and reality are describing the same vial. Okay, I'll say this plainly. This is the hard link. It takes real thinking, and it's the one people get wrong most often. That's not a character flaw. This can get really confusing. It's where the numbers stop being intuitive. Okay, and I already know what a lot of you are typing right now because it's the questions I think in this topic that I get more often than any other. What happens when there's more than one thing in the vial? If you want me to break down exactly how to handle peptide stacks, 2 or 3 compounds in a single vial and all the ways that get complicated with that, let me know in the comments because your comments are the ones that usually influence what videos we do next. Okay, so dose is right. Now, it has to get where you think it's going, and this is where the internet has it backwards. Here's what gets repeated. 90 degrees goes into muscle. 45 degrees keeps it in fat. Straight in is deep. Angled is shallow. It sounds right, right? It's the opposite of right for what you're holding. That advice comes from long needles. Holding an 1.5 inch needle, sure, straight in goes through the fat and into the muscle, but you're holding an insulin syringe and that needle is about 1/2 centimeter in length. It's shorter than the fat layer on most people's body in most places. So when you tip it over to 45 degrees to stay shallow, you don't land in the fat at all. You skim, running the tip sideways through the layer just underneath the skin. Tissue that isn't built to absorb your peptide solution. That's the welt, the itch, the firm little bump that can still be there the next day. To be safe, go straight in, 90 degrees with a short needle. That's what keeps it in the fat tissue. Now, someone's going to say you don't need to pinch, that it just adds trauma. And if you've got fat to spare where you're injecting, yeah, you don't need to pinch. The needle isn't reaching anything else either way. But pinching isn't about trauma, it's about lifting the fat away from what's underneath, and it matters most for very lean spots or thin spots. Someone who's dropped a lot of weight. If you're pinching it and it's working, great. There's nothing wrong with pinching. And this isn't hypothetical. There's ultrasound work on subcutaneous injections where they actually looked afterwards, a longer needle, no pinch, and more than half had gone into the muscle. None of them knew. 2 things were working against them at once, and that's the whole point here. Needle length and whether you lift the tissue are what decides where it lands. Not the angle you were worried about. The dose just absorbs on a different timeline than you planned. That's insulin research. That's not peptide research, but a needle doesn't know what's in it. 2 small ones left on the injection itself. Okay, needle size. Thinner is a higher number. 31 gauge is thinner than 27 gauge. Get the thin ones. That sounds like a comfort detail, and it isn't. The most common reason people stop running a protocol correctly is that the shot became something that they dread. And push slowly, 3 or 4 seconds. Fast pushing will force the liquid into tissue faster than it can possibly take it. That's the sting, and that's often the leak back out when you pull out the needle. So here's the real question. If you've been getting a welt every time or a bump that's still there the next day, was that the peptide or was that the angle? Dose is right, angle is right. It's going into fat. Okay, one thing left, and it takes the longest to show up. Almost everybody has a favorite spot. Same side of the abdomen, same 2 inches, because it's easy and it barely hurts and you know what to expect. And that spot slowly stops working. Tissue that gets injected over and over changes. It thickens, goes a little rubbery, and sometimes you can feel it as a firm patch under the skin. That's lipohypertrophy, meaning the fat tissue has built up and has hardened from repeated injections into the same place. Here's what makes it dangerous. It doesn't hurt. Often you can't see it, and it's frequently the most comfortable place to inject because the nerve endings there are blunted too as well. So the spot that's failing you is the spot that feels the best to inject. What it does is it absorbs badly. Less gets in, and how much gets in changes shot to shot. Same vial, same dose, same technique, different result week to week. For no reason you can see. That's the answer to the question that I get most often about peptide injections, why this works for 2 months and then stops. And when researchers went looking for what actually drives it, it wasn't the dose. In many cases, it wasn't how long you've been running it. Incorrect rotation was the strongest factor, the most common drive by a wide margin. And in one large sample, the only one that still held up once you accounted for everything else. Same caveat as before, that's insulin, not peptides. But this one's about the tissue, and the tissue doesn't care what you put in it. So here's the system, and it's 2 rules working together, not one. The big move, pick a quadrant and live there for a week. Your abdomen, either thigh, either flank, each one divided into 4. Next week, a new quadrant. That's the protocol that's actually been studied. Now the small move, inside that week, every shot goes at least an inch from the last one. Put those together and no patch of you gets hit twice in the same month. And you finally use the real estate that you've had the whole time instead of 1 square inch of it. Don't hunt for that best site either. The gap between 2 people is bigger than the gap between 2 sites on the same person. Find the one that works for you, then protect it by not living in that same spot. And if you're sitting there doing the math on how long you've been hitting the same square inch on your body, there's no product that fixes that tissue. What helps is staying off of it. Work the rest of your rotation and give it real time. Okay, so while this is all landing, you got 5 links: mixing, drawing, injecting, site, and rotation. Which one did you find out you were getting wrong? Not the number, the actual link to this. Let me know in the comments because I love reading these and it helps me decide what type of content would help you guys the most. And before I wrap up, be honest with yourself. Think about where you've injected in the last month. Is that actually a rotation, or is it 3 spots that you cycle between because the rest of them feel weird? Now here's what all 5 of these have in common. The peptide was never the variable. A peptide amplifies what you're already doing. It doesn't replace it. And execution is the layer sitting between you and that amplifier. Water, units, angle, spot, rotation. You got 5 links, all of them silent, all of them yours to get right or wrong if you don't know what you're doing. Now there's one link I haven't talked about, and it's the one that you can't check yourself. What's actually in the vial? You can run all 5 of those perfectly and still be measuring out something that isn't what the vial says. Now, here's what changes when it's prescribed. The person telling you how much water and how many units is the same person who knows exactly what's in that glass. So the math in this video stops being yours to carry alone. And when you're 6 weeks in and something feels off, there's somebody that you can actually ask, hey, did I screw this up? Even though it's right here on the prescription, because it can still happen, not a reorder page. Guys, text the number on your screen or check out that link in the description and book a free discovery call. You'll talk to one of our patient educators about what you're trying to do and whether this is a right fit. And then they're going to explain how the whole intake call process works. That's a separate call. And that's where our medical team can help design your protocol. And after that, you've got them there when you need them, if you need them. One more thing. If peptides got your attention, but the real problem that you're trying to solve is your weight, we've got a deep, comprehensive coaching problem that goes to the root of that issue as well. Text the same number either way. Now, last quick note here before you book, if what you're after is someone to sign off on a peptide stack that you're sourcing on your own and you're running on your own, no prescription through us, no coaching in the mix, that's not what this is for. And when we talked about the Wolverine stack that I used as an example earlier, I've got a whole video where I went through that one, the Wolverine, plus I talked about the Glow and the Clo as well. Give me your honest read on each situation. If you're curious about those peptide stacks, which are the most common, there's your video right there. We'll see you guys later.